Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm once again taking a walk with my dog Tychus on this wonderful day. Today's topic is going to be about time management, how to manage time wisely. And I'm starting this discussion off with a little bit of sad news, and that is that this will be the last Saturday walk video that I do, at least for this foreseeable future. And that's because I wish to manage my time more wisely. I have a YouTube channel and I do a few different things on there, and I'm just not finding enough time to make all the different types of videos that I like to make. My main purpose for my YouTube channel is my voiceover work, and I wish to focus a little bit more on that, so I'm going to be trying to cut down on other things that are taking a lot of time so that I have more time for that. But on to the topic of time management. I think we all know that we have the same amount of time that everybody else has in a day, and that's 24 hours. And there's a lot we can be doing in that 24 hours, but if we're not managing it right, sometimes it feels like we don't have any time at all. And the older you get, the faster time seems to go. That's because you've been alive for so long that a day no longer amounts to the same percentage of time in your life that it did when you were a kid. And so time starts to, in a sense, speed up, and you have to learn how to manage that wisely. And it's always good to learn as young as you can how to manage that time, because it gets harder and harder to control things and time once you get older. So as I mentioned, we have 24 hours in a day with which we can do whatever we want. So the question is, what do we do with that 24 hours? Well, the first thing I want to talk about is sleep, because I think that's something everybody needs. No matter what profession you are, no matter what you want to do in life, no matter who you want to be, that's something that's going to be on everybody's agenda, is sleep. And I think it's the one thing in our schedules that most people put as the least important, or they don't focus on it as much. But sleep is very important. The best way I've heard it said is that we can chunk our time up into 3 segments. That is 8 hours of work, 8 hours of recreation, and 8 hours of sleep. And there have been multiple studies done to show that 8 to 10 hours of sleep is ideal. There are some people out there who may need less or who may need more, but for the average Joe like me, 8 hours is ideal. And so make sure you're always getting at least 8 hours of sleep, and that you try not going overboard on it. 8 to 10 hours is pretty good. And there's also the topic of when to use that 8 hours of sleep. The best thing I can tell you for time management in the case of sleep is it's best to go to sleep early and to wake up early. There have been plenty of studies done that show that waking up early in the morning is very beneficial, not only mentally but physically, but not too early. I know there are a lot of people who do night shifts or swing shifts, and it's really hard on their system to be waking up at 2 in the morning or something like that, or staying up until 2 in the morning. But 4:30 to 6:30, that seems to be always the prime hours to wake up, and not going to bed after midnight. Going to bed anywhere from 9:30 to 11 is always helpful. But making sure you get that sleep is super important. Next is work. Now, as I said, if you were to chunk it up in 3 blocks of time, you'd have 8 hours for work. I think for most people who are working in the job market, that's pretty easy. A lot of jobs are 9 to 5, 8 hours, and so that's fine. There are some people who have jobs that require them to work more, and there are other people who have part-time jobs because they've got other types of work that they need to do, whether it's caring for a family or getting an education, but that can be considered work as well. And so just making sure that you're taking around 8 hours at least to work. And that includes the weekends as well. I know that we want to just go and relax on the weekends, but there's something about keeping our mind fresh if we're not working, and then lazing for 2 days, and then working again. Now, it can be a different type of work. It doesn't have to be physical labor, and it doesn't have to be office work that you're doing all throughout the week. There's other types of work. You can be doing service for other people. You could be doing genealogy. You could be working on a hobby that you have. Just something that keeps your mind active and going throughout those 2 days of the weekend, if you happen to get weekends off, so that your mind can be engaged. Because a lot of people I know that have taken their weekends to do absolutely nothing but laze around, myself included, have found that even though they've taken those times to relax, it really doesn't end up being relaxing. It feels kind of like a waste of the weekend to do absolutely nothing. So taking some time to do some sort of work, whether it's mental work, physical work, emotional work, whatever you want to do, just make sure that you're spending 8 hours a day working. And then the third area is recreation, which I think would probably be the second least important focus that people put on things. And there's a reason for that, and that's because the way we work nowadays, we work in a certain field or on a certain subject. See, back in the old days, your work was what kept you alive. So you may have been a hunter or a farmer, but you worked to sustain yourself. And that may have included doing different things. So if you're a farmer, you may have been cutting down trees, you may have been tilling the land, you may have been planting seeds, you may have been watering, weeding, harvesting, all those sorts of things. But when that work was done, that's all the work you needed to do, because the work you were doing was what was needed to sustain life and to take care of the house. Part of your work may have been to upkeep the cabin or something like that. But in today's society, we go to a job and do work for other people. And it's usually the same type of work over and over again. But that work's not including what it takes for us to survive other than getting the income. So other work that we have to do outside of that 8 hours of that job field is maybe go grocery shopping or work on the house or mow the lawn or do something else. And so we find that even though we're only working 8 hours a day at our job, we end up working longer than that on other things just for our well-being and quality of life. And so it's really hard to get 8 hours of recreation in when you're continually having to work. So some of the things we can do is to try to find opportunities for recreation during our work. Whether it's taking a 15-minute break and going for a stroll, whether it's taking our lunchtime to do something fun, like play a game, or maybe something inspiring like writing a letter or writing our journal. Just some sort of recreation that we can do throughout the day will help, because there are so many people in this world who are getting too little of recreation. And recreation's not just for fun, it's not just a selfish pursuit. It has actually been shown to help people lead more productive lives. There have been corporations that have done studies on that and found that if they make the work environment more of a recreational area, that they will actually get more work out of their employees. And there's a reason for that. Again, going back to that 8-hour thing, the corporations are realizing that these people who are working in these businesses still have to go home and do other type of work. And so it could be very stressful for them. And so providing them that relaxed atmosphere to work relieves that tension, relieves that stress, gets them energized, and gets them wanting to work harder. So if your work doesn't allow you those kind of leisures, then see what you can do to find opportunities to plug in small acts of recreation throughout your day. So we've got those three things: recreation, work, and sleep. How do we make sure that that's always getting done? Well, my suggestion is to use some kind of a schedule. Too often we find ourselves without any kind of a game plan of what we're going to do day to day, and that makes it so that we're not really paying attention to how well we're treating ourselves. And so the times that I've actually felt the most satisfied in life and happy have been times when I've had a set schedule. I'll usually have a schedule for when I'm working, a schedule for when I'm working out, exercising the body, a schedule for when I'm studying, so exercising the mind, a time scheduled out for me to be at home with my family. So I have that recreation and that family time. And then also scheduling when I'm going to go to bed and when I'm going to wake up. And that's an important one in today's society where things are happening way past sundown and far into the night. It's really easy to get caught up on getting busy and focused on something and pulling all-nighters or needing to wake up early because there's so much extra stuff to do. We really need to be dedicated to setting that schedule and saying, at this time of day, I am going to be going to sleep. And at this time of day, I am going to be waking up, even if I'm tired. Having that set schedule gives us the confidence to know what we're doing and to have our body get used to it so that we're not always worn out. People who go to bed at the same time and wake up at the same time seem to wake up easier and feel more rested because their body is used to that rhythm. So that's my suggestion for time management. Applying it to me, that's one of the reasons I'm going to be done with this video. I wish to spend more time with my family, and I want to do more focus on my hobby, which is voiceover, and also focus on the job that I have working as a manager for customer support. So I really want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch these Saturday walks, for coming along with me and Tychus. Maybe someday in the future I'll have time to do it again. But until then, I hope you all have a great life and hope you all check out my other videos. And I hope you all have a great Saturday. Take care.